Thanks for joining us. I'm Randall Bennett. Twitter. It's one of those things that you love, you hate, or maybe you haven't even heard of it yet. But regardless of the camp that you fall in, Twitter keeps getting more and more coverage, and more people are falling in love with it. Even big companies like CNN and celebrities like Kutcher have found the microblogging service to be something that they really appreciate. But why is Twitter so popular? To answer that question, let's talk to two bloggers who know about Twitter. Marshall Kirkpatrick from Read Write Web joins us. Marshall, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
We also have Christina Warren from Download Squad. Christina, thanks for being with us.
Nice to be here.
So you guys have both been on Twitter for a while now. Marshall, why do you think Twitter is so popular? Is it popular just because other people are writing about it, so it's a bandwagon thing, or do you think there's something to it?
Well, I think it's popular with users because it's an incredibly efficient way to communicate with people and to keep on top of the day-to-day lives of people that you care about. It's also a really effective way to share links and do things like that. It's popular with bloggers to write about, in part because it's growing really fast, but also because it's extremely popular with developers. It's a really rich source of data, and it's wide open for developers to make really cool applications on top of, and the analytics and data parsing possibilities are just beginning to be explored.
Christina, what do you think? Why do you think Twitter is such a popular thing among bloggers and even users now?
Well, I think it's twofold. I think part of it is the rich API, the developer community, the fact that there's a lot of information that's already been written about it. But I think the big thing is that for people who use it and, I guess for lack of a better term, get it, it's really useful, and you can get a lot of value out of it in a way that you haven't been able to get a value out of other web services or other communication services before. So it's one of those things that you kind of want to share with people because it sounds like the stupidest thing in the entire world when you first hear about Twitter. I mean, it sounds absolutely asinine, but then you end up getting so much value out of it, out of something that seems so stupid that I think it's kind of one of those natural points of things to blog about and talk about.
I think it's funny, too, that Twitter hasn't really had a tradition of innovating features themselves. Like, they have had a really hard time keeping up with user growth, so their main purpose is to make sure that the service doesn't fail. Other third-party people are kind of responsible for developing on top of it, like you guys have been saying. Even Twitter Search was created by a different company. Marshall, do you think that Twitter should just let the community kind of decide what features are added, or do you think they should play a more proactive role?
I love the way that they're doing it. If they can just focus on uptime and enabling even more development than they have right now, that'd be great. If they allowed more access to the full fire hose of messages, and if they allowed more large-scale scraping of content from across the site than they currently do, then there's a new class of innovations that could be built on top of those.
What do you think, Christina? To me, Twitter has at least some responsibility for making the service usable. I mean, right now it's easy to post messages, and you can kind of search if you dig around and find the search tools. Do you think that Twitter owes anything to its users?
I think that they do and they don't. I mean, the one feature that I would love to see them add that isn't part of the API, I would love to see groups, not some sort of hackneyed thing like TweetDeck and some of the other apps have done, but actual real user groups. But I think I agree with Marshall. I think the way that they've been doing it has been great. They've given developers access to what they have. They've opened up their data fire hose to a couple of select companies, and I think that the fact that so many tools and so many different things have been built around the service is kind of a testament to the innovation that it's kind of spurred. I don't really think that they need to go out of their way to own the whole space. By letting other people develop it for them, they get to concentrate on what's mostly important, and they also let other businesses kind of form and add value to the core Twitter service.
It's definitely interesting for sure to see a company that is so open, and people keep talking about how they're going to make money and all these different things. And to me, I'm not as concerned about the specifics in that I expect that they're going to. But some other people have, Twitter's kind of seen a jump in mainstream adoption, especially in 2009. And now there's a contest between Ashton Kutcher and CNN to hit that 1 million follower mark. Now, I wrote a story a little bit earlier today kind of saying, maybe these follower numbers They're great for celebrities because they can prove how popular they are, but for the rest of the community, it kind of makes them want to aspire to be this celebrity status. And so you start seeing people with thousands of followers who have titles like social media marketer. And to me, like, I'm not interested in, I don't know about 2,000 other people who are interested in what these social media marketers are doing. I don't know, Christina, do you think that these follower numbers and kind of this idea of being a Twitter celebrity is good for the community, or do you think that it's something that's kind of a detriment?
Well, it's weird because I think this conversation has been going on for at least as long as Twitter's been around, at least as long as I've been on the service, and I think it's only going to continue. I think on the one hand, there certainly is that sort of ego boost, and there's certainly a very real advantage if you are a big brand or celebrity to having a large follower number. I think for regular people, you can get into, like what you said in your blog post, gaming the system. But I think that the system kind of it kind of, I guess, self-monitors that, because if you start seeing, if you're following somebody who all they're doing is tweeting,
spamming basically,
spam stuff. If all they're doing is multi-level marketing stuff, which is what a lot of the social media, quote unquote, social media experts are just multi-level marketers, then you can unsubscribe from that. So sure, there might be 2,000 people stuff doing is in their own little concentrated bubble where they're selling their own pitch to one another about, hey, get rich by paying me to hear about how I got rich.
Yeah, it's so funny to me, that whole environment. Anyway, Marshall, what do you think about this whole follower number kerfuffle?
Well, I think that the follower number is significant, in part, well, especially when you get outside of the sick world of social media marketers that are just gaming those numbers. But if you look at people in other vocations, physicists,
journalists, maybe?
Yeah, journalists, or online community managers is a niche that I've been looking at lately on Twitter. There, the numbers of followers really do, they're a good metric to get a real loose view of the impact that someone's messages carry. I'd often say that popularity isn't a perfect judge for quality, but when you're stumbling around in the dark in a new niche, it's as good a place as any to start.
Definitely a good starting point. Well, guys, thanks so much for being on the show. We're out of time. Again, Marshall Kirkpatrick from Read Write Web. It's readwriteweb.com. And we have Christina Warren from Download Squad and the Unofficial Up Weblog and a bunch of other places. So thanks you guys for both being on the show. If you want to catch their Twitter handles, head to techv.com, and we'll have information there, as well as my Twitter handle, Randall B. You should follow me, because I need that ego boost too, I'll be honest. That is it for today's show. iTunes, everywhere else, check out our show. See you.